Hi everyone, welcome back to the Crypto Windio YouTube channel. Today I have a special guest. I know I always say that I have a special guest, but today it's actually a very, very special guest. I am here with Ian Calderon. He is the majority leader of the California State Assembly. Welcome back, Ian. How are you?
I'm well, Wendy. Thanks for having me back.
Awesome. So it's actually been about a year since the last time you came on the show. How's your family? How are things?
Everything is great. Charlie is my 2-year-old. She is a ball of life, and she's got a great vocabulary that's starting to spring up.
Nice.
And Hartley is my youngest. She's 6 months old. She's doing great. My wife is a rock star. Couldn't do what I do without her.
Awesome, awesome. That's good to hear. My daughter just turned 3, and I know that children are very, very, very busy. So I commend you and your wife for that because it is hard raising kids. I'll tell you that. So let's go ahead and get started. So just go ahead and remind us what you do for the government and essentially what your job looks like on a day-to-day basis.
Great. So, I think the easiest way to understand what I am and what I do, who I am and what I do, is if you think of our federal government, you have the United States House of Representatives, the United States Senate, and the President. Well, the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate, they write laws and pass laws, or bills, I should say. Then they go to the governor's desk, or excuse me, the president's desk. If the president signs it, that bill then becomes a law. Well, it's the same thing for the state, but in the state, what we have is the state assembly, the state senate, and then the governor being the executive of the state. There are 80 members in the California State Assembly, so I'm one of 80. We represent a little under 500,000 people. And there are 40 members in the California State Senate. They represent a little over 800,000 people. And we write laws, we write bills that could potentially become laws. We pass them and they end up on the governor's desk. And if the governor signs that bill, it becomes a law. So I am a lawmaker.
Okay, that breaks it down super easy. So the reason why I have you on today is because you actually you helped pass a law called AB 2658. Can you go ahead and talk to us a little bit about that? Refresh our memory.
Yeah, so 2658, it's a really simple bill. What it does is kind of try to define exactly what blockchain is, which is still a work in progress. And it sets up a working group to establish the best uses, practices, and applications for blockchain. And that's, both private sector and public sector. Us as a government, what is blockchain, the implications of blockchain, both good and bad. What are things that we need to know about? What are things we need to be aware of? As I've talked to some blockchain folks, I think the lack of regulation is a little worrisome for them.
Yes.
And so they wanted some type of a definition, which we were able to provide. But they also need to know, in terms of moving forward, what to be able to expect from government. And I think that California is best suited to establish what the guidelines are when it comes to how to regulate blockchain technology. This is the technology capital of the world. This legislature, this deliberative body, is well equipped to handle governing this subject matter, if you will. And we just want to know that as we move forward, blockchain is something that we can continue to utilize and grow. But in order to do that, we have to be comfortable with it. And the best way to be comfortable with it is to set up this working group, have the experts in the area and in the field, both from the private sector and the public sector, as well as myself being a part of the working group, along with Senator Hertzberg from the Senate, working it out and providing a report, if you will, to the legislature, basically saying, here's what blockchain is, here are the different uses of it, and here, in terms of regulation, this is where you can go, and some things that you need to consider.
So, quick question about that, because we're talking about the law is talking about blockchain technology, but currently, I know with the IRS and the SEC, there's quite a few cryptocurrencies that are considered to be securities. So that there's a lot of gray area with that. Will this law have anything to do with those cryptocurrencies that are considered securities, or may not be considered securities, or is it just about the technology?
We have no impact on what the federal government does. Everything we do is only specific to our state. So whatever is within our jurisdiction, when it comes to regulation and setting up new regulations and uses and practices, is where our purview stands. Generally, when there's a lack of regulation at the federal level, whatever the highest deliberative bodies set in place is generally what tends to go. So because of that lack of regulation, most likely whatever we set up through this working group will become the recommendations for the legislature, for the governor's office, for different regulatory agencies to implement and then move forward when it comes to understanding blockchain technology.
Okay, yeah, because I've reported on a few stories regarding the IRS and cryptocurrency, especially in the state of California. They're sending letters out to people that aren't filing their taxes correctly. So I was kind of curious how this law, if this law would impact any of that at all, because it is a big gray area. And any accountants that I've done consulting with or companies that I've done consulting with that want to pay their taxes, they are kind of, they're doing the best they can, but just because there's such a gray area, things are just not really certain, and it's kind of scary for folks like myself that do work in the industry.
Well, I mean, when you have to, we have the FTB here in California, the Franchise Tax Board. That's who does all the tax assessment. So when you file your tax returns, you're filing one to the IRS and you're filing one to the Franchise Tax Board here in California, which are two separate bodies. And so whatever we do isn't necessarily going to impact
Okay.
what happens at the federal level.
Okay, makes sense. Fair enough. So tell us a little bit about the work group that you guys are setting up. Has there been any progress with it? I remember you talked about it the last time we spoke, and then I had read an article that the work group is finally being initiated and all that. And that's when I had asked you to come back on.
Yeah, so it's been established. The working group has been established, and what I can do is I can send you the list of the names of the people that are going to be on the working group.
Perfect.
As codified in the law, there is an appointee from both houses of the legislature, one from the Assembly and one from the Senate. I am the Assembly appointee, and Senator Bob Hertzberg is the Senate appointee. And essentially in the next couple months, we're going to get together and we're going to start figuring out, moving forward, how we're going to answer the questions that the law asks us to answer, and kind of begin that process of going through the working group and providing information that we can put in a report to deliver to the legislature as well as the governor's office.
Okay, so quick question. I read an article and it says basically that AB 26 amends Government Corporations Insurance Code to legalize the use of blockchain secure data and smart contracts in local and foreign commerce. And then it also says, it also talks about revises law pertaining to electronic record and signatures to legalize and facilitate record keeping using decentralized ledger technology. So when I hear that and I'm thinking about electronic record and signatures, I'm kind of thinking about healthcare. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Is that something that you guys are going to be tackling as well and discussing in that work group?
Well, I think what's important is to thoroughly understand, blockchain and what its different uses are. I mean, I think there's a lot of different uses. Absolutely, when it comes to electronic records, blockchain could be used, but also when it comes to voting, blockchain could be used. I think we want to all work on a solution that provides an opportunity for people to use their cell phones to vote, but you have to have a secure network that's delivered on, and a technology that is going to continue to have people have confidence in our free and fair elections. And so, we're looking at blockchain as that possible technology that we can use to enable us to use our phones to vote. But I think what we need to understand is it truly as secure as it needs to be in order to allow that, because there are people that are going to be constantly trying to manipulate whatever is out there, whatever the government uses to manipulate voting results, to manipulate different health records, for a million different reasons, or to steal health records for different reasons, in whatever way they see fit, because they're stealing information or trying to get information to advantage themselves in some way. So, I mean, I think what we want to do is, we're the technology capital of the world here in California, and we need to do a better job as a state to bring technology into government, to make government more effective, more efficient. But also at the same time, there has to be complete confidence in what we're doing, because people trust us to do that, or maybe they don't trust us to do it, but we're the ones that are there to make the call. And so we need to thoroughly understand what it is we're getting ourselves involved in when we want to move forward, especially when it comes to technology, because the repercussions are going to rest solely on us, and we're going to be held accountable to that.
So mainly, you guys, the government wants to focus on maybe using blockchain technology to vote for transparent voting. Is that correct, or is there
No, I'm not
other
saying
things?
mainly.
Okay.
I mean, what I'm saying is those are examples of what we're going to be looking into. I think it's thoroughly understanding the application of blockchain technology and where it could be applied. I mean, I know people are using blockchain technology to issue microbonds for funding of infrastructure projects, mm-hmm. and I mean, so I think that there are a lot of really cool applications when it comes to blockchain, but it's just understanding, okay, how secure is it, and what are the different uses and practices for it? And, if we're going to continue to allow more usage of blockchain, then what does that mean in terms of regulation?
Yeah.
there's a lot of people when you talk to within the crypto world talking about decentralization of financing and finances and moving away from a banking system and kind of having complete control over that. And blockchain is kind of looked at as the way to do that and the technology to enable that. But there are a lot of serious implications when it comes to that. And so it's about understanding how all the different ways that blockchain can be used. And really the main goal is to give as much information as possible to the lawmakers and the governor's office who are going to be making the ultimate decision when it comes to blockchain and its future and all its different applications, so that there's confidence in knowing what the technology is and what it can do, so that you can not only implement it, but also at the same time properly regulate it, because we have to be very certain that there are low, if no risks when it comes to how we implement different technologies like blockchain.
Okay, that's fair enough. So, as far as the work group goes, is there anybody that's currently in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space that is going to be on the California work group, or you can't discuss that yet?
There are. I would be lying if I said I can remember everybody's names. And the GoBiz within the officer, not GoBiz, GovOps within the governor's office was the one charged with putting together the working group. And so they put together a great cast of folks. And so what I can do is I can send you the list of people that are there. It's actually online.
Perfect.
But I can send it over to you, have my schedule send it over to you so that you can check it out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to put that in the description as well, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be curious as to who's going to be on that work group. So California in the future can expect to see more blockchain technology being used throughout the government. They can expect the work group to get to work and for you guys to start really researching and understanding exactly what it is, and to decide where you guys can place it in the government and possibly within small businesses as well. I know that the city of Seoul in Korea, they went ahead and they're working on a coin called S-Coin that's kind of helping small businesses to keep track of their timesheets and to make sure employees are being paid, and also to give rewards and different things like that. So do you think maybe we can expect something like that in the city of LA?
Yeah, but we have different labor laws. So, we need to make sure that whatever we allow to be implemented is copacetic with whatever labor laws we have in place, because labor laws are important because they provide worker protections that, we care a lot about here in California. So, yes, I think that it's possible to be seeing things like that. I'm not saying that there will be that,
Right.
but I think that this is the first step that we need to take in order to get to a place where we're comfortable doing that, where we're comfortable with kind of putting that type of structure in place or technology in place. It's just, we can't get there unless we have at least enough people in the legislature that not only understand blockchain and what that means, but are comfortable with it. And, we've seen time and time again when folks, especially lawmakers, don't understand something, they tend to overregulate and kind of really suppress it because there's a fear of the unknown. And this is trying to take as much of the unknown out as we possibly can, so that there's a comfortability in working with this technology, implementing the technology, and allowing others to be creative in its implementation of this technology. But we also have to be confident that we're not going to be making it difficult to enforce our already existing laws.
Yeah, I agree with that, because the space is still very, very new, and I would hate to see excessive regulation be applied to blockchain technology and have people that would like to create things kind of be hindered and not create things out of fear of being overregulated and whatnot. So I'm glad that you guys are doing this. And two more questions before we go. The next question is: there's other states, like there's Wyoming and I believe Ohio, that are really pro blockchain. Do you think the state of California is going to be able to directly compete with them?
Oh, I think we're going to blow them out of the water. It's only a matter of time. I think that everybody, most of the folks are here. I get that, Wyoming put definition out there and has allowed, some comfortability for blockchain technologies to go over there. But there really is just no competing with California, because once we have, some established rules, comfortability with the definition that we've put forth in terms of defining what blockchain technology is, I just think that, this is where all the creativity is. This is where all the innovation is. This is where the workforce that, these companies are going to want and need already is, and is constantly being churned out by our universities, the best in the world. So I think that there's just going to be no competition, but it's important to get this first step out that way. That way there is that comfortability to start these businesses in the state.
Fair enough, fair enough. So before we go, do you have anything that you want to share with the audience, any special announcements or anything that we can really look forward to with the state of California and the work group that you've created?
I'm working a lot of different things. This is something that's important to me. These technologies are important to me, whether it be blockchain, artificial intelligence, you name it. So what I think is important is for people to understand that, while it's government, things take a little bit of time.
Right.
If this is an area that you care about, I think you should take a lot of comfort in knowing that we are looking at this and trying to adapt and implement as fast as we possibly can. And I think for your business, if this is a business in a direction you're trying to go, you really want us to do this, to do a good job so that we are not only providing credibility to the technology, especially if that's what you want to use, but also, providing the protections that you're going to need in order to operate a business here in California. And of course, we want to do everything we can to make sure you stay here and you're happy here in the state. And so I think that it's all positive moving forward.
Can you guys please get the DMV to use blockchain technology so our wait times are less, please?
We're working on that. But you can't get there without this.
Right.
So, and we also within the governor's office have established the governor's office that we've approved through the last budget, a new technology office. And so they're going to be really looking at
Nice.
A lot of different things to innovate, which is great because this is something that I've been talking about for a really long time. And, before I ever got elected, I worked in the state assembly as a field representative for different assembly members. I did the constituent casework. So when somebody had an issue with a state agency, I was the one that they called within the office. And we could be far better and far more responsive if we had different technologies at our disposal. So, I think the problem is that there's no comfortability there, and people are very resistant to change, no matter where, especially within government.
Especially within technology, I've noticed as well.
Yep, exactly. So, they've got these systems and, these requirements, and, it's really easy and simple the way they do it. It's just very archaic. I was, looking at some of the different, I guess you could call it technology, but it's lack of technology and how they work on the computer screens earlier today at the DMV. And it's really, something quite extraordinary to see. So I think, we got to give them a little bit of a break because they're working with really antiquated stuff. But these are the steps that we need to take in order to get more efficient, effective technology in departments like the DMV.
Awesome, Ian. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk to us about everything that you guys have been working on. And I hope to have you on again soon with any progress that you guys make.
Sounds good. Thanks for the interest.
Thank you. Bye-bye.